What would you do if you had to choose between loyalty to your emperor and your own conscience? What if that choice cost the lives of 400,000 people? Imagine the weight of that decision, the echo of thousands of screams silenced in a single day. Today, we're going to unearth one of the darkest and most fascinating stories of antiquity, an event so brutal it was swept under the rug of official Chinese history. Prepare to meet the general who orchestrated the largest massacre in ancient history, a name many prefer to forget, Bai Qi. Before we dive into the depths of this narrative, if you enjoy uncovering the mysteries and hidden truths of history, subscribe to the channel, leave your like, and tell us in the comments. Where are you watching this video from? Your participation is crucial for us to keep bringing you content like this. In the heart of ancient China, during the turbulent Warring States period, 475-221 BC, rivalry between 7 great kingdoms was constant. Each fought for supremacy in a bloody dance for control of what would become the unified empire of China. Among these kingdoms, 2 stood out for their military strength and ambition: Qin to the west and Zhao to the east. The tension between them was palpable, a powder keg waiting for a spark. That spark came in 262 BC, when the Qin kingdom invaded a disputed territory, triggering the Battle of Changping. The stage was set for one of history's most epic and tragic confrontations. Zhao, realizing the seriousness of the threat, sent one of its most experienced and respected generals, Lianpo. He was known for his defensive strategy, preferring to wear down the enemy rather than engage in direct confrontations. For 3 long years, Lianpo kept the Qin forces at bay, building fortifications and avoiding a decisive pitched battle. The Qin army, though powerful, was beginning to feel the strain of a prolonged campaign, with stretched supply lines and declining morale. It was at this critical moment that a cunning and Machiavellian plan was put into action by Qin's minister, Fan Zhu. Realizing they couldn't break Lianpo's defenses by brute force, they spread rumors in Zhao, suggesting that the only general Qin truly feared was Zhao Kuo, a young and impulsive commander, son of a famous general, but with little real field experience. The gossip worked. The king of Zhao, impatient with Lianpo's defensive tactics and seduced by the prospect of a quick victory, made a fatal mistake. He replaced Lianpo with Zhao Kuo. On Qin's side, the strategic move was equally bold. The king of Qin, concealing the change of command, secretly sent his most feared and efficient general to the front lines, Bai Qi. Bai Qi was not just a brilliant strategist, he was ruthless, a master of total war, known for his brutal efficiency and for leaving no survivors. His nickname was Human Butcher, and it wasn't by chance. As soon as he took command, Zhao Kuo, eager to prove his worth, abandoned Lianpo's defensive tactics and launched a direct attack against the Qin forces.
Bai Qi, a tactical genius, saw his opportunity. He allowed Zhao Kuo to advance, luring the Zhao army into a narrow valley, a natural trap.
Then, Qin's troops carried out a series of decisive maneuvers. A light cavalry force cut off Zhao's supply line, while other units flanked the enemy army, completely surrounding it. The Zhao army, with approximately 400 men, was trapped, without food, without water, and with no hope of reinforcements.
They tried to break the encirclement several times, but all attempts were repelled by the Qin forces, who were in advantageous positions. For 46 days, the Zhao soldiers suffered, wasting away from hunger and thirst. As morale disintegrated, despair took over.
Finally, Zhao Kuo led one last, desperate attempt to escape, dying in battle. With the death of their commander, what remained of the Zhao army surrendered, exhausted and starved.
And here we come to the darkest and most shocking point of this story. With the surrender of the 400,000 Zhao soldiers, Bai Qi found himself facing a dilemma.
Releasing them would be an immense risk. They could regroup and fight again.
Keeping them as prisoners would be an unsustainable logistical burden, requiring enormous resources in an already scarce territory. It was then that he made the decision that would etch him into history as one of the greatest executioners of all time. Bai Qi ordered the execution of all 400,000 prisoners of war.
Imagine the scene: a valley filled with unarmed, starving, and exhausted men, waiting for a fate that would not be freedom. The order was carried out with terrifying efficiency. The prisoners were massacred en masse, many of them buried alive in mass graves.
Only about 240 young Zhao soldiers were spared, sent back to their kingdom to spread terror and demoralization, a brutal psychological tactic to break Zhao's spirit.
400, 0 dead in a single day. It's a number that defies comprehension, a massacre of epic proportions that eclipses many of the horrors of later wars. This event was not just an overwhelming military victory for Qin, it was a devastating blow to Zhao's ability to recover, irrevocably altering the balance of power in ancient China.
Despite the magnitude of Bai Qi's massacre, official Chinese history, for centuries, treated the event with remarkable discretion. You might ask yourself, why doesn't China talk about this openly in its most popular records and narratives? There are several reasons for this omission. First, the Qin dynasty, which emerged from the unification of China soon after these events, sought to build an image of order and benevolence, despite its initial brutality. Openly acknowledging large-scale barbarity like the Changping massacre could undermine that narrative. Subsequent historians and emperors often preferred to focus on the glorious aspects of unification and the achievements of great rulers, rather than delve into atrocities.
Furthermore, the scale of the massacre was so vast that it represented a stain on the reputation of any general, even one as successful as Bai Qi. Although he was crucial to Qin's victory, his excessive brutality ultimately led to his own downfall. Bai Qi himself, after Changping, refused to lead another campaign against Zhao, claiming to be ill, possibly due to remorse, or the perception that his luck had turned. Eventually, he was executed by order of the Qin king, who felt his refusal was an act of disobedience, and who feared the growing power and independence of his most victorious general. Bai Qi's disgrace, in a sense, contributed to his most terrible deed being relegated to the background. Historically, Chinese dynasties frequently rewrote or interpreted past events to serve their own political and ideological purposes. The Changping massacre, with its unprecedented scale of horror, did not fit the narrative of a heavenly and just empire. It was more convenient for such events to be minimized or even forgotten, though never completely erased from more detailed and academic historical records. However, in recent years, with greater openness and interest in re-examining Chinese history from new perspectives, the Changping massacre and Bai Qi's role have received more attention. Archaeologists have discovered mass graves in Changping that support ancient narratives about the vast scale of the deaths, bringing to light tangible evidence of the horror that occurred. This rediscovery forces us to confront the past and acknowledge the complexities and shadows that inhabit even the most glorious narratives. The story of Bai Qi and the Changping massacre serves as a grim reminder of the human capacity for cruelty and the difficult choices that war imposes. It is an event that, though long at the fringes of popular consciousness, echoes through the millennia, reminding us that history is not just about victories and heroes, but also about the countless lives lost and the acts of barbarity that shaped our world. If you were shocked by this story and want more content that challenges conventional narratives, share this video with your friends and family. And don't forget to hit the notification bell to be notified whenever a new video is released. See you next time.